Many countries in the world are currently experiencing inflation. Governments have tried to strike a balance between controlling inflation and also promoting economic growth. But citizens don't trust the government's ability to manage the economy and maintain stable prices. The economic uncertainty has left many asking questions on the efficiency of the governments to tackle the economic situation, putting leaders under pressure to find solutions and to find them as soon as possible. Kenya, East Africa's largest economy, is currently in this dilemma as its new government is feeling the heat from the citizenry. But in a bid to discuss how he is restoring the country's economy, President William Ruto made a number of claims during an interview with journalists. So, did the president get his facts right? I'm welcoming you to The Proof, powered by Africa Check. I'm Joe Hanson. Stay with us and let's discuss East Africa, Kenya to be precise, after the break. Welcome back to The Proof. Rising food prices, a weakening currency and simmering opposition to new taxes are just some of the headaches that President Ruto would indeed surely like to do without. The country's next budget, to be presented on the 15th of June 2023, is being eagerly anticipated. Kenya's fiscal year starts from the 1st of July. Now, against this backdrop, Ruto sat down with journalists from 6 major newsrooms. Africa Check selected 12 claims Ruto made and vetted them for accuracy. We'll look at a few on today's show. But you know what? Joining me now is Africa Check researcher Dancan Bwire. Thank you so much for being here, Dancan. All right, so Dancan, quickly tell us, so did President Ruto get his facts right?
Good to see you again, Joe. President Ruto made 12 claims on taxes, revenues, debt, exports, jobs, housing and education. 3 were correct, 1 mostly correct, 1 exaggerated, 1 unproven and 6 incorrect.
Okay, so what was the first claim that the president got wrong that you checked?
The president claimed that Kenya's public debt was in the region of 8.8 trillion Kenya shillings, close to 9 trillion Kenya shillings. The Kenyan National Treasury publishes annual public debt reports, and the most recent one showed that total public debt as of 30th June 2022 was 8.6 trillion Kenya shillings, about 62.1 billion US dollars at current rates. The country's central bank also publishes monthly debt data, and the most recent, published in February 2023, put total debt at 9.2 trillion Kenya shillings as of 31st January. The Treasury also publishes quarterly government debt reports, and the most recent, published in early May, showed that total public debt as of March was estimated at 9.4 trillion Kenya shillings. In summary, public debt reached 9.2 trillion Kenya shillings in January. The president's figure of 8.8 trillion Kenya shillings is way off the mark by 600 billion Kenya shillings.
Interesting. Let's look at another claim very quickly. You mentioned that Ruto made a claim about employment. What did the fact check into that reveal?
Translated from Kiswahili, the president claimed that 5 million youth in our country, Kenya, are struggling by the roads and loitering by shops, jobless. He had previously made this claim about 5 million unemployed youth during his campaign ahead of the 2022 presidential election. At the time, his campaign sent us this table from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the national data agency, showing that 5.1 million people aged 15 to 64 were unemployed or are underemployed in Kenya. But the data did not just cover young people. While Kenya's constitution defines youth as those between 18 and 34, the data agency interprets youth as those from 15 and 34 in line with the African Youth Charter. The most recent employment data was published in February 2023 and covers October to December 2022. It showed that of the 18.4 million young people aged 15 to 34 years in the country, 8.4 million were not in the labor force. The report listed 9.2 million young people as employed. It showed that 800,000 young people were unemployed, or that had looked for work but hadn't found any within 4 weeks of the survey. The available data does not support the claim that 5 million young people are unemployed. We therefore rate the present claim on unemployment as incorrect.
All right, what about President Ruto's claims on how many civil servants are paid from taxes and also the budget deficit?
Again, translated from Swahili, the president said that those of us paid by Kenyans' taxes are 700,000. Each year, the country's National Statistics Office publishes data on the number of public servants in its annual economic survey. The most recent data showed that in 2021, there were 923,000 public servants working in ministries, judiciary, parliament, state agencies, parastatals, independent commissions, and the 47 county governments. For 2022, preliminary estimates put the figure at 937,000. The president's figure are underestimated by at least 200,000 civil servants. We therefore rate the claim as incorrect, but his claim on budget was correct. He claimed that the current budget deficit is 5.7%. A month before the end of the 2022-2023 fiscal year, public records showed the budget deficit at 5.7% of GDP. We therefore rate this claim as correct.
Let's take a break here, Dancan. We'll come back to you. We'll go for a quick break. Stay with us. It's still The Proof. Welcome back. This is The Proof, powered by Africa Check, and I'm Hanson. Dancan Bwire joins me, Africa Check researcher. Thank you for being here. Now, we're looking at the claims made by President William Ruto in a recent sit-down with journalists. Now, Dancan, is there any other claim the president made that you found to be incorrect?
He also claimed that Kenya's exports as a percentage of GDP came down from 28% 8 years ago to 10% this year. We reviewed data from Kenya National Statistics Office and the World Bank. World Bank data showed that 8 years ago, in 2015, the exports of goods and services as a percentage of GDP was 15.1%. It showed that the last time it was at 28% was in 2005, that is 18 years ago. Exports of goods and services accounted for 18.3% of GDP in 2014 and 16.6% in 2015, according to data from the Statistics Office. There is no data to support the claim that exports have accounted for 28% of GDP over the past 8 years. In addition, the most recent data was contained in the 2023 economic survey. The data showed that the figure was 10.8% in 2021 and was provisionally estimated at 12.2% in 2022. We rate this claim as incorrect.
Thank you so much, Dancan, for joining me. With the way, indeed, fake news spreads so quickly, it is important for government officials to actually verify any information before addressing the media. Well, your words are easy to believe, and this could be detrimental to the country. Anyway, before sharing figures or comments on national issues, it is imperative that public office holders have the right information. But in the case you doubt what you want to share, it is better to leave out than to make false claims. You can find more information on how to identify fake news by visiting africacheck.org. That's www.africacheck.org. Now, if you have any comments or a claim you want us to fact check, tweet at africacheck_NG. All right, take note of that. You find it on the screen there. And you can also follow us on all socials. We are at News Central TV. And don't forget to check the website. It's www.newscentral.africa. It's been an amazing edition, taking a look at what's taken place in East Africa. William Ruto, and of course, the fact-checking. I'll be back again by His grace next week. Make sure you join me then. Let's fact-check more and more only on The Proof.